Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
My child is echoing one-word phrases if we verbally prompt and she wants something. How do I increase language from this point? That's a pretty common thing, right?
Yeah, it's awesome that she's doing that, and that's fabulous. If the first, well, you have to go in two directions. You have to fade out the prompting so that this is called manding, right? Manding is when we request things that we want. So if you can start to fade out the prompt so that she will, or he, I don't know why I thought, oh, she, if she begins to, so that she can just spontaneously request things. So that's important. And you also are, I think you said phrases, so I want, you know, is great that she's doing that. The next typical phase of language is what we call tacting. And tacting is when you label objects, but not objects that you necessarily want. So, and that's a new phrase. And initially it would just be labels. And so, you know, in therapy, when we're doing ABA, when we're doing discrete trial or any kind of ABA, the next phase is just to teach the child a whole lot of labels, which obviously your child has some of them. Those are the labels of objects that your child wants, but then there are labels of objects that are just in the environment, right? So I don't know if you have someone who has been actually teaching labels of objects, what we call just object labels, right? So, you know, pen, cup, bottle, etc. And then so those are just initially we would teach them as having the child either point to them, touch them, give them, so in receptive formats. And then obviously the next phase is to ask the child, what is it? And the child would just say the object label, and then gradually that becomes the second phrase, which is, it is pen, it is cup, it is so on. And those object labels obviously are just, that's one category. There's a million different categories, because then later on you will teach a variety of adjectives that then are paired with those object labels, so like colors, size, etc. And then that now forms longer phrases. But right now, I think you're going from manding to tacting, which means you need to just have the child identify objects in the environment. And the way you do that is first having touch and then reward each one. That's correct. I'm getting into a lot of detail on how to do this great trial now, because obviously you will put you want to also discriminate and make sure that the child is doing this correctly. But these are steps that are in ABA, and this is how you expand language.
And I love that you answered that part of the question, but I think part of the question here that we hear a lot of times is that as you're prompting and teaching a child and you say, what is it? And then we'll often say, it's a, to lead to cup. But sometimes our kids will repeat the what is it?
Yeah.
So we say, what is it? And they say, what is it? And how do we get to the it's a cup?
Right. So I'll answer that. Yeah,
okay.
But I think also you're right. I should go back and read what Mom is saying here is that the child is echoing one-word phrases that she wants.
I see.
So she's
I got
echoing.
it wrong.
Well, I did too. She's echoing the
Yes.
one-word phrases, and that's kind of where you have to fade out the. But you're fine right now. Like, don't worry about the fact. So what I'm seeing is, like, let's say, child wants juice. And what you do is you hold the juice and you're saying juice, and then the child will say juice, right? So the way that I think that's what you're saying. And I think the way that you do this is you start to fade yourself out, fade the verbal out, so that you'll say like, I want and then the child will start to say juice. So you shape yourself out of the picture. The vocal imitation turns into just a verbal request from the child. And the same for tacting, for anything else. You fade yourself out. Initially, it's okay to echo, and then over time, you fade yourself out. And that's how we get language.
Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.